welcome to In Depth. I'm Elaine Anthony. This program is designed to have real and deep conversations about news that affects us from the point of view of many in our media community. Today we go in depth with the upcoming runoff election on November 27th. Most people are talking about this special election for the United States Senate, but there are several also judge positions that are still to be decided. You will hear from all of the candidates vying for your vote on Tuesday the 27th. And now, before we move to the judges' race, let's look at that special election we talked about to replace retired U.S. Senator Thad Cochran. That race is heating up. In the November 6th election, candidates were competitive, but neither actually received 50% of the vote, plus one, of course. The issues to a very controversial comment was made by a sitting senator, Cindy Hyde-Smith. JSU's Eric Walker takes us inside the race.
Are you familiar with Mississippi's history of lynchings?
I put out a statement yesterday, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith and Governor Phil Bryant enduring a hanging in the court of public opinion. The senators joke about being on the, quote, front row of a, quote, public hanging earlier this month, has many calling on the politician to apologize and or step down.
I know her, and everything is not about race. And so we are going to work hard and work as we move forward. We've made a lot of progress in the state of Mississippi. More things need to be done. But remember, we're in the middle of a political campaign. And those that oppose Cindy Hyde-Smith will take advantage of this.
Many believe Hyde-Smith's comments in Tupelo were buzzwords to chummy up with the white conservative vote. On the Twitter video, supporters can be heard laughing along with the controversial joke.
After being asked 6 times to explain it, to clarify, whatever, she didn't. So then I think it's even worse. I mean, it just seems to me that right now political leaders think that humility is some kind of form of weakness. You know, to apologize or to say I'm sorry or to forgive me, I made a mistake. Some don't want to do that because it's a sign of weakness, they think. I really think it's a sign of strength.
Governor Bryant, help us see that Mississippi is not the same state that killed an Emmett Till that was falsely accused by someone you're kin to.
Jackson Councilman Aaron Banks held a press conference calling specifically on white leaders in the faith-based community to denounce Hyde-Smith's comments.
How can we say we serve the same God, sing the same hymns, we pronounce the same scriptures, but then at the end of the day, out of one end comes love, and that we'll move past this, but then out of the other end of our mouths, you know, out of the other end of their mouths comes, you know, if you had a hanging, I'd be glad to sit on the front row.
Political analyst and professor Dr. Steve Rosman sheds light on the saying. He says it's a very old Mississippi saying dating back to the early 1900s, when public hangings were not only real, but also a figure of speech.
It used to be that'd be a family affair at the expense of people being hung who normally were African Americans, pulled out of jails in many cases, get an angry white mob, and sometimes they have whole families there to have refreshments.
Hyde-Smith has refused to explain her comments or answer further questions.
So the key is the African American turnout. If African Americans really get stirred up and you have a huge turnout, that could switch things around. So SB has a chance. I'm not going to predict he's going to win at all.
Hyde-Smith plans to rally her supporters by painting SB as a liberal Democrat. SB says he's actually an independent and has a history of working with Republicans. The runoff election is November 27th. Eric Walker, JSU-TV.
And thank you, Eric. We will now turn our attention to our Subdistrict 4 judicial races. And this is the seat for that particular district, and it will be decided in the runoff on Tuesday, November 22nd. The Governor Phil Bryant appointed Judge Joseph Scalafani to the seat, and he is challenged by former Hinds County District Attorney Faye Peterson. Okay. And what I'd like to do is just kind of start out by talking to both of you to find out, tell us a little bit about who you are and why are you vying for the position? We'll start with you.
I am Eleanor Faye Peterson. I'm a lifelong resident of Hinds County. I've worked in public service for nearly 25 years. I'm seeking this position because I saw it as another opportunity to serve the citizens in Hinds County. Just based on my past experiences, my work in the circuit court, when Judge Gowan retired, I just saw it as a unique opportunity to try something on a different level.
Okay.
Dr. Anthony, thank you for an opportunity to be here today. My name is Joseph Sclafani, and as you indicated, I am the current circuit judge for Post 4, which is what I call the rural part of the county. It's Byram, Terry, Clinton, Bolton, Edwards, Raymond, Utica, the area in between, and 4 precincts in Jackson. I accepted this position when I had the opportunity because I'm of the view that the court system in Hinds County is broken and could be made better with judges who were attentive, who worked hard, and who implemented new policies and procedures, which I have done. And I asked the voters to evaluate me, ma'am, on what I've done since I've been on the bench and on my qualifications for the position.
All right, and tell me, why is this position important?
The circuit courts are important because that's our trial court for both our civil and our criminal cases in Hinds County. When you go and you get that notice that you have to serve on a jury, that's the court that you go to. Circuit court, believe it or not, is actually more involved in people's lives than what people realize. If it is a criminal case, then you have a victim that's waiting for an answer and a defendant that's also being challenged. If it's a civil case, you have the same situations. You have an individual who is suing for some reason, for some hurt or harm to them, and you also have a company that's trying to protect their legitimate interests also. So circuit court, to me, is very involved in people's lives and is very important to our county.
And why is it important to you?
Circuit court is important because it is the heart of our judicial system. As Ms. Peterson has said, circuit court is both the felony criminal trial court as well as the civil court when matters in controversy exceed $200,000. So it's important when you evaluate candidates for this position that you have someone who is both an expert in criminal law as well as an expert in civil law, because this is the key position in our judiciary at the trial level for felony criminal and civil disputes.
You're already there now. Why do you think you need to remain?
I think that I need to remain in the position because in the 6 months that I've been on the bench, I have turned that court around in terms of alleviating the backlog. When I took the bench, there were over 1,700 cases on the backlog, 1,100 civil cases and 700 criminal cases. I came in there, I've worked 7 days a week. We've reduced the civil backlog from 1,100 to 320 cases. Every case is on a scheduling order. Every case has a trial date. We've resolved all pending motions. On the criminal side, we had indictments that dated back to 2012, 2013. People sitting in jail for years waiting on a trial date. That was unacceptable to me. I've implemented criminal trial months, and we're moving the docket. We took 30 trials in August, and we resolved 29 cases. In October, we set 45 for trial, and we resolved 44 out of 45. We are moving the docket, and within 18 months, the backlog will be eliminated on the criminal docket, and every defendant will have their trial in 270 days of indictment, which is their constitutionally guaranteed right.
Ms. Peterson, you are challenging that record. Why do you feel you're the best person?
Well, I've worked with the system before and tried to improve Hinds County, and you can't just look at one situation. We have to look at it in its entirety. In its entirety, we have a large amount of cases, and crime is not stopping in Hinds County. It is still going on. You have a lot of violent cases that can't be resolved unless you take it to trial. My approach is to try to make the entire system better. When I was district attorney, we looked at it holistically, not just in an isolated position. We've got to make some long-term changes in the way we do things so that 5 years from now, we're not in the same situation. And so in doing that, you have to understand the resources that are available. We have not expanded the number of prosecutors. We have not expanded the number of public defenders. We have not expanded any of our resources to make these long-term changes that we need to make. The criminal justice system affects the bottom line in Hinds County, how much we pay in taxes, because as long as we are funding that jail at the level that we are, it's affecting our community. And so that's why I got in this, because I understand the bottom line is we've got to do things that are fiscally responsible and that are sensitive to the needs of our community, and we have to do it looking at the entire system, not just a portion of it.
Well, in looking at the entire system, Is there anything else that you would like to add as to why you would like to be in this position and going forward, what you would do differently?
Ooh, there are a lot of things because, and I will say this, I got into this because of the criminal justice system. Having been a prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney, I see the problems from the bottom up, meaning from the point of when a person is first arrested until their conviction. I know where there are problems in our system that could help to expedite these things. We have a lot of cases that have not even made it to the grand jury yet and are still pending. Now, although that's the role of another office, the entire system has to be aware that there are going to be points when we're going to have to receive and have a high volume of work that we have to do. So when I look at these things, I know that there are ways that we can fast track those nonviolent first-time offenders. I know that there are ways that we can schedule our dockets so that the prosecutors are adequately prepared to present their cases and not just trying to run them down the system. Because if you've tried cases like I have, you're sensitive to what they have to do in order to give the victims of crime their day in court. Also being sensitive to what defense attorneys have to do in trying to make sure that their clients are adequately represented. So there's a lot of work. There are no short-term results that are going to have long-term effects. We've got to change a lot of things and do so being mindful of the costs and the resources that we have available.
Tell us from your point of view exactly what you would like to do going forward.
Yes, ma'am, Dr. Anthony. I think that what Ms. Peterson has spoken about are a lot of issues in the criminal justice system that are outside the purview of the circuit court judge. What the circuit court judge can do is implement policies and procedures that allow for the efficient operation of the court. And while the operation of the court does have an impact on the budget of Hinds County, what a circuit court judge can do is implement policies to move cases through the system. And that's what we have done in the last 6 months. And I would just ask the voters to evaluate me on that record and determine if they think I have things going in the right direction and if I'm the most qualified person, that they'd cast their vote for me. And I just, real quick, I want to address, Ms. Peterson said about alternatives. We have utilized drug court in my court since I've taken the bench. All nonviolent first-time drug offenders that were eligible have been put in the drug court program. We use PTI for nonviolent offenders as well. But when it's a violent crime and they're convicted by a jury, there are serious consequences for that.
Well, I'd like to thank you both for being with us on In Depth. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Please
Anthony.
come back to In Depth.
Jackson State has prepared me academically, spiritually, financially. I was already mature, but they taught me how to be mature in a professional manner.
The quality education that I received at Jackson State University really set the foundation to pursue God's PhD.
I came on my first visit. I love the atmosphere. The culture has so much energy. There's always something going on. Jackson State, to me, it's just a home away from home.
Welcome back, everyone. The seat for Hinds County Circuit Court 7, Subdistrict 1, was vacated when Judge Jeff Wheel decided to run for the Court of Appeals. Popular Hinds County lawyer Matthew Allen received 36% of the vote. In the November 27th runoff, he will face fiery lawyer and state representative Adrian Wooten. Now, let's kind of get into this by telling us a little bit about you. Ms. Wooten, we're going to ask you first. Tell us who you are and the position that you're running for.
Well, of course, you know my name is Adrian Wooten. Currently, I serve as a state representative representing District 71, which is a part of South Jackson and a part of Byram. I've been doing that now for the past 11 years. I'm a proud graduate of Alcorn State University, 1996.
We won't hold that against you.
Well, listen, my husband graduated from Jackson State.
Okay.
So bring me back into the fold. And then I am a graduate of Ole Miss, which is University of Mississippi School of Law, class of 1999. I've been practicing doing civil law now, sorted out at the law firm of Blackman & Blackman back in 1999. Worked for them till about maybe 2004. Then I went out on my own. I didn't leave from home. I kept my office up in Canton. And then once I acquired the position of state representative, I realized I needed to kind of branch out and get my own office so that I could go between the Capitol and Holmes County, where I currently serve as an assistant public defender. I've been doing that now for about 15 years. So many people know me as state representative. Others who don't know me as state representative know me as attorney Adrian Wooten. And that's pretty much who I am, just like to call myself a nice young lady from Meridian, Mississippi, that has been in the city of Jackson now for about the past 20 years and working on behalf of the citizens here for about the past 11 years and working for the citizens of Holmes County for about the past 15 years. Many people will know me as a public servant. That's what I do and have been doing for pretty much the better part of my career.
Mr. Allen, tell us about yourself and why you are running for this position.
Well, thank you, Dr. Anthony, and thank you for having us here today. My name is Matt Allen. I'm a native Jacksonian. I've been a lawyer for 14 years, for 13 of those at the Brunini Law Firm, which is the oldest law firm in the state, where I've been a partner. And the first year, professionally, I worked as a law clerk to a federal judge, to a federal trial judge, which is like what a circuit court does, but on the federal side of the aisle. And for over a year now, I've been working towards a PhD in criminal justice. So I have a real passion in the area of criminal justice, criminal law, how we can make the system work more better, fairly, efficiently. I have to say I'm a proud parent of Thatcher and Hartley, a son and a daughter, and been married for 8 years to Megan West, who's an evening news anchor with WAPT News. And we're proud to call Jackson home, proud to be from here.
Well, good, good. Tell our voters why this position is important and why did you decide to run for this position?
I think a lot of people don't, if they haven't been involved in the court system, they don't understand the levels of the court system. You have your lower courts, your municipal courts, your justice courts, and then you have your county court, which we have all of the courts, luckily, here in Hinds County. Your justice, your municipal, your county court. This is circuit court. Circuit court basically deals with those lawsuits where people are being sued for $250,000 and above, and it deals with criminal matters where a person can serve 1 or more years in prison. That's why it's important. You're talking about people's livelihoods, you're talking about their life circumstances, and when you look at that, I want people to understand that experience counts. So when you look at whether you have a judge who has actually had some experience with the law, I've been doing this now for 19 years. I've been doing civil litigation for 19 years. I've been doing criminal defense work for about 15 years, almost 16 years. Not sitting behind a desk pushing papers, but going into court and trying cases. I am a litigator. That's where my foundation comes from, Blackman & Blackman. If you know anything about law firms, it is one of the top plaintiffs firms in the state of Mississippi. And coming from a small firm, even though it's one of the top firms, you're not afforded an opportunity not to go in and actually develop trial skills. So I've been doing that now for 19 years. And as it relates to the importance of the position is important simply because you're taking into consideration people's life circumstances, the actual events that unfold in their lives, and you are presiding over that. You have the ultimate say as to what happens when you have a plaintiff and a defendant, plaintiff who sues somebody, defendant who's on the opposite side saying, listen, I didn't do that. You have to actually sit and preside over that and make the ultimate decision. You have a defendant that comes in that's been charged or alleged to have committed a crime. You have to sit, listen to those facts, apply the law to those facts, and make the right decision.
All right, thank you. Now let us hear your position.
I'm running because the criminal justice system in Hinds County is broken, and we can and must do better. We have a public safety problem. We have a case backlog problem. Our drug court system could and should run more efficiently and better. Public safety problem is an issue that we all talk about around our kitchen tables. That is a priority of mine. We have got to tend to the criminal side of the aisle in our court system. You see some of that play out in the case backlog. This is a problem in Hinds County. It's felt acutely on both the civil and criminal sides, but particularly at the criminal side of the aisle. We have people who have been sitting in detention at Hinds County Raymond Detention Center, some of them for years, who have not been indicted. That is a problem. It is a problem whether you view things from a law and order perspective. It is a problem if you view things from a civil liberties perspective. If you're an law and order type, when cases sit there for that long, witnesses' memories fade, witnesses move, evidence goes cold, it precipitously decreases the chances of a prosecution. If you're a civil liberties type, It's a problem to have people sitting in jail for years without being indicted. If I'm elected, that's going to come to an end in 104 courtrooms. We're going to move cases. We're going to respect the constitutional rights of the accused, while at the same time moving cases along. If the prosecution has a case that they can move forward with, we're going to encourage that. That's not being done in Hinds County right now. We can do better.
Okay. All right. Why do you feel that you are the best candidate for this position?
Well, circuit court judges sitting here basically two types of cases. They hear civil and they hear criminal. I have a solid foundation in civil litigation for the past 19 years. I am not the type of person who, if chosen by the voters, would have to have on-the-job training. I have been in the courtroom for the past 19 years. I have tried automobile accidents, premises liability, wrongful death cases, product liability, mass torts cases. Pretty much anything outside of construction law I have been involved in, and I have tried those type of cases for the past 19 years of my career. Then for the past 15, 16 years, I've been an assistant public defender in Holmes County, trying cases, murders, rapes, any type of major felony case, capital murder. I have that type of experience. And so when you look at what person should be holding this position, experience is key. You don't need a person who has never had any experience in the courtroom presiding over cases. Number one, because they have to learn the law. Number two, they have to figure out how to apply the law to the facts of a case. And 9 times out of 10, you'll have a judge sitting and saying, let me take that under advisement. I'll get you a ruling in a couple of days. I don't have to do that. I have been doing this for 19 years. 16 years of those criminal law, and then 19 civil law. I've been doing my practice is a relatable practice. In other words, it's a practice that has been focusing on the type of laws that a circuit court judge sits and listens to. And I think that that's relevant.
All right, give us why do you think that you're the right person for this position?
I agree, experience matters. And this is the subject about which I'm most uncomfortable speaking. I have been recognized by Super Lawyers, a major ratings magazine, for excellence in multiple legal practice areas, Best Lawyers of America for excellence in multiple legal practice areas. I'm 41 now, but for 5 years leading up to when I was 40, I was designated as one of the top 40 under 40 litigators in the state of Mississippi. Benchmark Litigation, another premier ratings agency, has designated me as a future star of Mississippi. Just this past week, I was recognized by the Mississippi Business Journal as one of the top leaders of the law in the state of Mississippi. I'm the only candidate in this race that has been recognized for legal excellence in the field of being a lawyer, and that is what you want when you're going to make someone a judge. Martindale-Hubbell, which is the agency that has peer review ratings, is ratings by fellow lawyers and judges. I have the highest rating available by fellow lawyers and judges as to my legal abilities in the courtroom. And I want voters to know that. It's uncomfortable to talk about.
Okay, all right, well, thank you so much. Well, thank you both for being with
Thank you
us
for having
on
me.
In Depth.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
The college business is a very close-knitted environment. It feels like a family here. It was a numerous amounts of opportunities for me to expand my palette and what I wanted to do in my actual career. Here at Jackson State, we're more than a number.
Welcome back, everyone. Over $1 million has been raised and spent on the second seat for the Mississippi Court of Appeals, and that is District 4. Judge Joseph Lee, who currently holds the seat, did not seek re-election. In the runoff are Judge Jeffrey Wheel, who received around 28% of the vote, and also David McCarty, who received 49% of the vote. And now we opened our airways up to Judge Wheel, but he was not able to be with us. But we are very, very happy to have David McCarty with us to talk about this election. Tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're seeking this position.
I'm David McCarty, and I'm a candidate for Court of Appeals. And I began this journey, Dr. Anthony, about 15 years ago when I was a law clerk for Judge James Graves at the Mississippi Supreme Court. Judge Graves taught me that the law was for everyone. It didn't matter what community you were from or how much money you had, what color you were, or your gender. The law was the place in Mississippi that was the great equalizer. And he taught me to apply it fairly and equally every single time. that really shaped my philosophy as a young lawyer, and I took that cornerstone of belief into the courtroom over 75 times to the Mississippi Supreme Court and Court of Appeals, an amount that took me years and years of work to do, and I'm very thankful for to have such a career representing individuals and families and small businesses. I also took that cornerstone of philosophy that all people should be treated with dignity and compassion to the classroom, where I've been a proud educator at my alma mater law school of Mississippi College since 2005. And there I've been honored to teach classes in trial practice and evidence, classes in appeals, my chosen profession, and a class called pretrial practice, which is a seminar on how to prepare for trial.
And why do you think you're the best person for this position?
Dr. Anthony, my experience is massive. I've got literally 77 times the experience of my opponent, who appealed one case in his career. But more important than that, I think I have the heart to do the job. In 2018, now more than ever, Mississippi deserves public servants who have the heart to humble themselves to all Mississippians and to truly listen and learn how to do their job. Now, I'll be ready on day one because I've been working with the Court of Appeals and Supreme Court my entire career as a lawyer. I've literally written the book on what evidence is allowed into at trial, and I'm working on another book on appeals. But more than that, what distinguishes me is my heart to serve people. I learned that all those years ago from Judge Graves, and I will promise every Mississippian in every community that I want to be their judge, not a judge that represents some people and not others.
Well, you know what has gone on in that position. Moving forward, what are you prepared to do differently?
I don't want to do anything differently. The Court of Appeals is run very well, and Chief Judge Lee, who retired yesterday or had his retirement party yesterday, was an incredible leader for the court and was surrounded by 9 further very capable judges. What I want to do is stay the course and continue to be a judge that works hard to follow the law and treat people fairly. That's really important now, Dr. Anthony, because the Court of Appeals hears many more cases than our Mississippi Supreme Court. And the cases they hear are the ones that affect the lives of every Mississippian. Divorces, child support, adoptions, personal injury cases, workers' compensation, and criminal matters. So with nearly 400 cases a year that they'll rule on, we need good men and women up there who are going to respect people as equals and follow the law.
Well, we've looked at the position, and you told us about your background, and you told us what you want to do. Is there anything else that you can think of that you would like the voters to know by the time they get to the polls on November 27th?
What I want the voters to know is that they deserve somebody who's going to come to every community and earn their vote. Nobody should just be given a vote. And that's our constitutional right as Mississippians and Americans, that we get to vote. But what I really want to do to prove again to the men and women of District 4 is that I will be the person who represents them and will treat them fairly. So I want to earn the vote of every Mississippian. And I was blessed to receive 74,000 votes, almost 50%, Dr. Anthony, to avoid the runoff. But I'm very thankful to do it again. I've learned more about Mississippi, my dear home, and learned more about the 15 counties I will seek to represent, from Pike to Lincoln to Copiah, all the way east to Jones, and west to Natchez and Adams County. I've learned more and eaten more than I ever had my entire life. And so I'm thankful that if people choose David McCarty on November 27th in our runoff, they'll get the right person for the job.
And thank you so much for being with us. We'll be right back to In Depth.
Jackson State has given me all the tools that I need to succeed in life. My teachers continue to mentor and motivate me. Jackson State University has taught me to remain humble and go back within my community and make a change.
Thank you for watching. We encourage everyone to vote in the November 27th runoff election. Until next time, I'm Elaine Anthony for In Depth.